it's Jackson with Student Find. In this guide, I'm going to walk you through 5 alternatives to the traditional student loan. So let's get started. What we're going to cover are number 1, scholarships and grants, number 2, educational investments, number 3, group interest rate negotiation, 4, peer-to-peer, and 5, crowdfunding. Let's start with scholarships and grants. So these are the best option because these are really just free money to help you pay for college. So the only difference is a scholarship is usually merit-based, so it can be athletic or academic, whereas a grant is usually needs-based, based on your financial demographics. The best way to get scholarships and grants is doing your research with some sort of online database and then just applying to as many as you can. This is how I won several $1,000s in scholarships. So we have some links for that, but that's going to be the number 1 thing to look at when you think about alternatives to the traditional student loan is can you stack up enough scholarships and grants, you don't have to pay anything back. Number 2, educational investments. So an educational investment, also known as an income share agreement, is an alternative form of financing. What it is think about compare and contrast with a loan. So a typical loan, you borrow, let's say $10,000, and you have to pay it back with, let's say, 5% interest. In an educational investment, a company actually invests in your education, so let's say $10,000, in exchange for a small percentage of your future earnings for 5 to 10 years after college. So if you think about investing in a bond or a stock, this is sort of like investing in a stock. So like I said, the company, in this case a lender, pays for your college, and then you give them a small percentage of your future earnings for several years after college. So this is not the best option for everyone, but it can be a good alternative so that the amount you're paying back each month depends upon your income. So what you want to do is basically consider what your earnings will be after you graduate and compare what would be a better deal, an interest rate on a loan or the structure of an income share agreement, and do whatever option gets you paying less. But again, that is an alternative that a lot of people just don't even know exists. Number 3, my personal favorite, group interest rate negotiation. So if you do need to take out a loan, picture this. We have a partner that works kind of like Groupon or Costco that will actually pull together a huge group of borrowers and then negotiate with lenders to get a lower rate. So if you want to learn more, again, we have a link for them as well. But that's, again, an alternative that's kind of changing the game of paying for college that a lot of people don't know about. Let's talk about number 4, peer-to-peer. So number 4 and 5, peer-to-peer and crowdfunding, are not as common, but they're still strategies you can consider, and there have been some successful case studies. So peer-to-peer is using some sort of platform or using your personal network to take out loans directly from other people. So there's several platforms that do this, but this can be a way that if you can't seem to get a fair loan from a private lender, that you can go direct to an individual. Okay, so again, there's a few platforms that do that. That's not as common, but it's an option to consider. And then finally, we have crowdfunding. So this is a non-traditional way to pay for college by starting sort of a campaign to help people fund your school. So a lot of times if you have an interesting story or an inspiring background, you can create a campaign on platforms like Kickstarter, GoFundMe, etc. And we've actually seen students who pay off their entire college tuition just by sharing their story. So again, this is not super common for everyone, but it's another alternative strategy to consider. So what I want you to remember in this video is there are actually alternatives to just taking out the first student loan you can get sort of the traditional way, right? So scholarships and grants are awesome. You can consider an educational investment if you think that it would be better for your situation to pay back a small percentage of your future earnings instead of having a fixed payment every month. You can also consider group rate negotiation. So all you got to do is sign up and you'll get offers for discounted interest rates. Then you can also, like I said, consider those peer-to-peer options, going direct or crowdfunding, sharing your story, getting people to fund your school. So that's just a few options there. We have tons more resources and tools available at our website, studentfi.org. You can leave a comment or message us if you need anything else.